Welcome, everyone, to our podcast. This is Antun, and I am Kenny. We are The Hunt. Welcome to our show. This is episode number 2. And thank you so much for joining us and being part of this amazing venture that we have going on here. So thank you
Man,
for
pleasure to
joining
be
for
here.
part 2. We are actually on Zoom right now due to the whole COVID scare and the whole COVID thing. We wanted to ensure that we were able to give you guys a show and be able to give you guys product without meeting in person, just in case anything happened with COVID. So we're giving this like a kind of like a test run and or dry run with the Zoom meeting, and it seems like it's going pretty well. But and where can we find you on social media before we start digging into your next couple weeks? Because I know your next couple weeks are going to be absolutely crazy. So where can we find you on social media?
On social media, you can find me at Whitetail Intelligence on Facebook and Instagram.
Excellent. And you can find me at Kenny_Cornwell because I am nothing special on Instagram. And that's it. So as we left off on episode 1, we kind of scratched into who we are, what we're about, and provided a different vibe than what I'm used to. I'm used to being the alpha. Here's what we got to do. Let's go ahead and be the trailblazers. Anton is actually now the trailblazer. And I'm the little girl holding her hand saying, hey, take me with you. So I'm going to live vicariously through him via his elk hunt this fall. So dumb question. It is now 27 August. When are you departing to your destination to kill an elk?
As of right now, we are departing on the 12th of September. I don't yet know whether or not I'll be departing from here or if I have to drive down to Fort Bragg to pick up my co-pilot for the drive. Okay. But that'll be decided here in the next few days. And either way, we'll still be on the way. That'll only add 5 hours to the trip.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. That's not bad. So 12, 13 September. How long is it going to take you? Because you're driving from Virginia and or the East Coast to Montana. What's the drive time usually like?
If you look it up online and drive straight there, it's in 1 day and 7 hours. So add in a couple of stops for food, maybe take a piss break and sit down and hang out and get back in the truck. Probably add about total maybe 3 hours onto that, about a day and a quarter.
That's not bad at all, actually.
No.
If you think about it, it's like once you look at pictures of things like Montana as opposed to Virginia, you look at it and you're a few hours away, but it looks like a completely different world. It's absolutely nuts.
And it'd be a whole lot different if it was just me driving too, right? Because then there would be stops for longer sleep and then having to get back in. That would probably take a whole day, maybe 2 days to get there. So at least this way we can swap out and rock and roll.
Absolutely. So when you're doing a 100% do-it-yourself hunt, if you could give me 5 of your most important items that you're bringing with you, and you have to take away your weapon. That does not include your weapon, does not include your vehicle or your license. But what is your most important essential needs in reference to your trip coming up?
Oh man, so I learned a lot last year. I'm going to give you context before I give you the answer, right? So last year I learned a lot of hard lessons in my first elk hunt. I took everything in the woods with me. I had a 75-pound pack when I went in. I thought, hey, your ranger can do this. We can do this and just figure it out. And then I'll drop my stuff and pack out, and they'll come back and get it if that works out. Fortunately, my buddy ended up telling me there are my ways, and I ended up dumping more than half my pack. The only things I really kept with me were my Katahdin water filter, my water bladders kind of go into the water, right? So let's just all bottle that up into the water source. A knife, just needed that, something to light. So this is a lighter, a Bic lighter. That became my scent check, and that thing is amazing.
Really?
You throw that up. Yeah.
Lighter?
You just flick that Bic, man. Flick your Bic, and it'll tell you which way the wind's blowing. The downside of that is it doesn't tell you which way the thermals are going, or it doesn't show you long term where it goes, like a duster would, or like if you take some of that milkweed out and toss that up in the air. That's going to be my new trick this year. Is I'm taking a bunch of that with me. I'm going to stop and collect as much as I can, throw it in a little medicine bottle, and pull that out and throw it whenever I want to do it with scent check or wind check.
It takes you. Yeah, just see where it takes you whenever. Yeah. Even like 40 yards down, you can still see. If you can still see it, you can see if the wind changes or whatever.
Absolutely.
Through that here and there. But a big lighter, that's interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Right. And then I have my inReach. That'll probably be number 3. The inReach was crucial because it allowed me to maintain contact. Because I was out on my own most of the time. My buddy left me, and he had to go back to work, so I was out on in the wildlands and in Oregon, and a lot of time I didn't have, obviously being an East Coast boy, I didn't know where the hell I was when I was, deep into the woods, and having that inReach was crucial to show me where I was, and I was also able to text back and say, hey, look, if something bad happens, here I am.
Hold on. You guys went out west from Virginia, so coast to coast, just to have him roll out because of work, and you were solo dolo?
So not entirely. So I rolled out there with the intent of going solo the whole time.
Okay.
Right. So that was the intent. And it ended up being that after a couple of days, I was dry and I ran into those other hunters like we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And I called him up and said, hey, what's up? He said, drop your shit, come where we are. And so, we're getting into bugles. So I drove about 3 hours away, met him at the campsite, and then that's when we started getting into them.
Right. So you were leaving in like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, man. Pretty stoked. I'm stoked, and I'm starting to get anxious.
What's the weather like? What's the weather like in mid-September?
Mid-September, it's kind of like it is here, but like we would like it to be here. It's 20 to 40 at night, and then 60 to 70 during the day. Can get up to 80, obviously. So that's at like Bozeman level. When you start climbing up in altitude, as that temperature drops, you're gonna have those changes.
Variance to change, whatever.
Yeah.
So what boots? Okay, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd with boots. I'm real big into footwear. I'm big into shoe wear. What boots are you wearing for this hunt? Because if you're gonna have like 40-degree mornings and have like 80-degree evenings, what is the middle ground boot for you for this elk hunt? By the way, that can also withstand the beating that you're about to put it through.
Right. So I've got a pair of Solomons that I did not take with me last year. I thought they were too heavy, so I went and got a pair of Loas that I'd taken the combat equivalent of overseas, so I got the leather version to work on this with. Right. And I got those a little late in the game. I didn't have time to break them in, and I paid for that. But I knew that they were lighter, so I figured it would be worthwhile. This year, I'm going back to the Solomons because they're tried and true. I think they're the G3X. I'm not sure on the model exactly. I've been using these things for a few years now, but they've proven themselves water and snow proof. Okay. I'm going to have to redo it with some snow seal, go back over that. And then another pair, something else I'm trying is I'm going to take a pair of light running shoes, like ultralight running trail shoes. Okay. And I'm going to use that until I need to use the boots. So if I get into elk and I'm playing the run and gun game, I'm going to throw if it's dry enough, I'm just going to throw those trail shoes on and go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I heard that from another hunter who's killed more elk than me. Who knows? Sure. It might be a terrible idea, but that was the purpose of that trail run I did this morning, was to take that out and kind of test
see how it works.
Yeah.
So I've heard of actually people doing the exact opposite. I know that people were to, they even make these socks, and please excuse my ignorance, but I have no idea what these socks are, but they'll essentially be like freestyle trail running socks that go within your shoes or within your boots. So you can take off and you kind of do like your last little bit of your stalk without making a bunch of mess and, whatever. But that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Some dudes will even go so far as to take like extra woolly socks.
Yeah.
And then they'll use that, or they'll put them on. There's special socks that go on over your boot. So if you want to throw those big woolly fluffy things on over your boot to do your last 30 yard, 40 yards crawl and then get in there. Hopefully we don't have to do that with the antelope this year. I'm hoping that I can put the sneak in on them, but we'll see.
So this is your first time going to the state, I'm going to assume. And if it's not, please pretend, because I'm going to pretend like it's me going and preparing for myself for my hunt. If you were to, you already have your destinations planned out. Like you have your entry, you have your potential exits. You have, I'm going to at least assume the first couple of days planned out as far as where you want to go, how you want to do it, things of that nature, even sleeping quarters and things what's your game plan for the first day or two that you roll up to your entry into your lane?
So we're going to roll into I think the first place we're going to head to is the Gallatin National Forest. I've got a few spots picked out there, a few different trailheads picked out there. I'm going to head into there and check those spots out, see if we can get any bugles off the bat. It should be peak rut time when we get there.
Really?
Yeah. So we should be starting to get bugles. And depending on what time we get there, that's going to play a big role, right? If we get there at middle of the night, well, we might park somewhere as close as we can on a forest road and then listen, or
Right.
mostly just rack out until morning and then get after it and try to do the same thing.
Right.
So that's going to play a little bit of role in that decision process. And then if that works, if we get into them or if we can see them, we'll sit. Fine, I've got some glass and tits picked out on X. So we'll head to those, do some spotting if we need to. If we don't see them, spend a couple hours doing that, and then work our way out up northwest a little bit and see what we can get into out there.
Okay, you're gonna go out that way. Okay.
There's a whole other wilderness area just on the other side of the highway from the Gallatin Forest. So that got a couple of waypoints picked out there. Hit the trailheads. Problem is, there's only a couple of trailheads, so pretty sure everybody else and their brother is going to be hitting those.
Do you have a specific area where you know for a fact people are going to not want to go because it's so fucked up?
Yes.
Like, this is so bad. No human being should ever come here. Therefore, we will be going there at least once.
Try to find I looked at the contour map and I tried to find the lines where they were as close together as I could.
Yeah.
Shy of being a straight vertical cliff, and then work at least someplace that had a switchback that you could work your way up.
Right.
And there were a couple of those, so I'm going to check those out and see if we can get in there without going so far that, hey, we got to keep in mind though, because we get in there, we kill something, then it's going to take, 7 miles to get back.
Yes.
And then back up that thing and then back down. So that turns into a whole lot of vertical mileage really quick if you're
Absolutely.
successful.
So this show, this is more or less like this is a hunting show. It's called The Hunt. But I mean, I'm not opposed to giving other groups or other podcasts a shout out because, they are essentially the reason why we are doing what we're doing. And there is actually a podcast called Elk Shape. It's called, if you just go on iTunes or whatever and just type in Elk Shape. And I apologize. Free plugs, whatever, cool. They're actually good dudes, actually really good people, really good guy. But he prepares you and tells you how to pack up and pack out and do shit that other people don't want to do in order to be successful. The question is a lot of these elk hunters, and this is maybe it's a question you can't answer, but you have these elk hunters. If we think of Western style hunting, tree stand hunting, we have 20 or 30 hunts a year where we can sit for a couple hours and then go home. Are the Western style hunters, are they able to do the same? Because it seems like there's a lot more work involved in reference to the game, the Western style hunting, as opposed to the hang and bang here in Virginia or even the East.
From the Western hunters that I've encountered, the majority of them are in a whole lot better shape than a lot of the Eastern tree stand hunters, or even the dog, the rolling through the woods,
right,
style hunters. Just because that's the nature of the beast, you're burning more calories, so you're going to be a skinnier dude, or at least where you have some guys who are super skinny, or you get like the Cam Hanes guys who are just brick shit houses going up into the mountains.
Yeah, just straight, nothing but shoulders and legs. But no, I just what do you think the average hunter, let's just say Montana, the average person who hunts Montana for elk, how many hunts do you think they get a year? I don't even mean to put you on the spot, but I just I'm just trying to think, me and you, where we go, we could go to the stand and be like, you know what, opening day, we'd be like, yeah, you know what, I don't feel like going, I'll just go tomorrow. But do they have the opportunity to do that based off of the work that's involved? Obviously,
not having firsthand experience being a Virginia hunter, I can only speak from what I've heard on other podcasts and what I've heard other hunters talk about. And they tend to, my impression is that they do have to do the same thing, but they still have to drive 2 hours out of town to go do that. Whereas you and I, we can go drive 30 minutes and be in our tree stand, right?
Right.
So we have that good fortune, but a lot of, out there, even living in a place like Bozeman, those guys have to drive a couple hours to find a good spot.
Sure. What advantages do you think that you have based off of your hunting background to prepare you for your upcoming hunt?
Mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes last year that I'm not going to repeat and that I learned from. I'm a very visual kind of guy, so I had to look up the YouTube thermal for dummies type videos to get an idea of what do thermals really do and how much do they really matter for elk. Because I've been in the wrong spot for deer before and had them win me and still been able to put them on the ground.
Right.
So deer are a little bit more forgiving, but an elk is not. Once he gets a window of you, he is gone, and
Done.
good luck.
Game
you know?
over. Game over.